Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Force for Growth show. I am Ricardo.
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Courtney, and you are joining us on Monday. So that means it's our Word of the Week day. And I want to tell you a little bit about that. So, our Word of the Week is selected each Monday on our 6 a.m. calls. And you can ask us more if you're curious about that because we're pretty cool kids. But we meet twice a week at 6 a.m. and we pull a stick stamped with a word by Do 52. And it's a simple but powerful toolkit designed by House of Shine to prompt us to do things mindfully and open ourselves up to new ideas. So we're a little over halfway through the year with it. And our word this week is schedule.
Yeah.
And so we all loved it a lot. But okay, so real quick, the definition. So according to Merriam-Webster, the verb is to appoint, assign, or designate for a future time, or to place in a schedule, or to make a schedule of. So that is what we're working with. What does that bring up for you guys? Schedule.
Schedule your wins.
Schedule your downtime, rest.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Something I realized this week is I don't schedule fun.
Oh.
I don't schedule fun. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but this little planner is what got me to that realization this week. I don't schedule fun and recreation.
Yeah. I think it made me laugh this morning because as soon as the word was pulled and we knew, we're going to hop on and chat about it for a little bit, both Ricardo and I were like, oh, Michelle's taking the reins on this, because we're very much like, help me.
Yeah. We're going to dive into a conversation about planners in a couple of minutes, but for right now, we're just going to talk about the word itself and things that it popped up. But then we're going to go into scheduling and planning and tips, strategies, stuff that we've used, stuff that we bought and didn't use, and so on and so on and so on. Why am I laughing? Why is it funny?
Because we all fall in that trap of thinking
really shouldn't
if
be
we
that
buy
funny.
things.
It really shouldn't be that funny. I don't know why I'm laughing at myself, but I am laughing at myself because I had to really think about how many journals I'm going to pick for that conversation. But comment below. Let us know what you guys think about the word schedule. What brought up? What does it resonate? Any thoughts or feelings that came up when you heard the word schedule?
Like, is it positive feelings coming up? Is it negative feelings? So I think I kind of had a mixture of that this morning where part of it's like, oh, there's, a handful of things I need to schedule to make real. At the same time, there's, a whole other side of it. I need to schedule things that excite me and make time for things that, like Ricardo said, have fun, so those are important to plug in. But yeah, so that was interesting to me. I noticed both positive and negative feelings spiking.
I did too. And I think the people, I talk to a lot of people, and one of the things I hear the most is, I'm so busy, or I'm too busy. And so I think the word schedule can bring up a negative feeling for people because they feel like their schedule is overwhelming. Whereas if you use tools to schedule and create an efficient schedule, it helps to relieve that overwhelming feeling that you have with a crazy schedule.
Yeah. And it's interesting just utilizing that and learning what tools work. But you take something that you maybe would have sat all day overwhelmed about mentally, and you get it done in 5 minutes. It's not. And so when you look back at your schedule with a very practical view, it's a lot easier than we think. But, that's a loaded comment because, you might have things on your plate that you don't need to be prioritizing, or you might not be having fun when you need to prioritize that, so
that goes back to my hell yes, hell no. Like, is it a hell yes?
We tell us more.
If it's a hell no, don't put it on the schedule or take it off the schedule.
When you put it on the schedule, it becomes real. I think that's one of the hesitations with me personally on putting things in a schedule or a journal is it becomes real when you put it in there, and it's almost cemented in writing in the journal. It's like, ooh, that's a little too real. That's a little too, it's, I don't know. It makes me feel a certain sort of way. Real quick, Bobby Cassio says, appointment. I add the word divine in front of that. So when spoken, is it is ordained.
I
That's
like
like
that.
that.
good.
That's
Yeah,
powerful. Power of
like that.
words.
Yes.
Exactly why we're talking about our word of the week. They're
And schedule.
powerful.
Make it a priority in your life. And that goes back to what I was just really saying is that when you write it down, it cements it as a priority in your life. And sometimes that's overwhelming. And a lot of feelings come up when you make something a real priority in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something interesting on our call this morning is when we were talking about planners and things to help with our schedule. It's different for different people. So something that works for you, Ricardo, may not work for me, and for you, Courtney. It's different people. The tools that we mentioned earlier are going to be different depending on your personality type, how you use your brain, or even your schedule, like what things are on your plate.
Correct. So that's a good introduction. Let's dive in. Our planners. Yay.
Will you help us
Okay.
help ourselves, Michelle?
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. We could totally talk about planners for what, maybe a month
Yeah.
straight. Three
Yeah.
times a week could come on here 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a whole month, and still just barely touch on the number of planners that we've gone through. And mind you, let me clarify. Not gone through because we started and completed the whole journal, but gone through because we used it for one day or 1 week or 1 month and then decided it wasn't working for us and then bought another one.
Yep.
That's where I
Got it.
fall. Yeah. So, Michelle
Wait. Yeah, please comment if you are a planner addict. Please, if you are fall in that trap like us, that you think it just will solve all your problems if you find this new magical planner, please comment below. I want to know I'm not alone.
Man, I need to go comment on this on my own post because that's me. All right. Michelle Martini, start us off with the planning chat.
Okay, so I've tried a couple of different planners and actually did all the way through the whole planner. So I've gone through 2 different ones. So I feel like I gave them enough time to determine what I like. The interesting thing about it is I like certain things from different ones. And so my plan is to create my own, not necessarily like an official one, but just Excel spreadsheet that I can print out and put in a binder that has all the pieces that I like. Excuse me. One of the ones I love is the Panda Planner. There we go. So it has a little panda on it and it's really good. It's got a lot of things I like about it. So it starts out with a month and then you look at the week, but then you go down to the day, which like the differences that Ricardo and I have in how we like a planner. I need the day. I need all those lines. I need the 30-minute time slots or 15-minute time slots so that I can look at a glance. I use my digital planner on my phone and it sends me reminders and things like that. But I need to sit down, look at a page, and this is what my day looks like. That just does something in my brain. So this is kind of what the Panda Planner looks like. It is so hard to figure out. So it's got the time slots to put your schedule in, but then it also up at the top, it has daily habit. So whatever habit you're working on, you write that down at the beginning of the day. So you've got that in your mind. It's got your focus. So what are you focused on right now? I love that because in my business, I might be really focused on improving my client support or something like that. And so I can put that in there and that's, puts that in my brain at the beginning of the day. This is what I'm focused on. It's got exercise. So did you exercise that day? And then there's 3 lines for what you're grateful for, 3 things you're grateful for, what you're excited about. I love that because it really makes you think, okay, what am I excited about today? Not in 2 weeks when I'm going on vacation or whatever, but what am I excited about for this day? And that's important. And then there's an affirmation. Then you've got your top priorities for the day. So these are the must do's today. And I don't fill them all in. I leave blank spaces. So I might put my 3 top priorities. And then if something comes up during the day, I can add that in. And then there's the task list at the bottom. So these are the things I'd like to get done. These are the things that have to get done. Then
I got a question, Michelle.
Okay.
Because here's one of my problems.
Okay.
Is I feel for some reason that I have to fill in all the freaking blanks.
Yeah, I don't. You got to leave space.
Like, and I
Got to
think
be
that's
flexible.
one of the reasons that the day plan, like when it's day based, where all that is on one day, I feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't feel everything out. I
Yeah.
didn't feel everything out, and that's the trap that I fell into.
I think too, with planners, you have to be careful with that because that's unproductive time. There's certain things that don't serve you or your day. And so if you feel like you have to fill everything out, you're wasting time on things that don't serve you for your day. So you've got to pick and choose the things that work for you. One of the things I love about this is an end of day review. So you're like, what did I win on and what can I improve on tomorrow? And so that's pretty cool. The other one, I'll be really quick, is the high performance planner that we got. Ricardo got that from you.
Yeah.
And I really like that one. One of the things that's a little bit different about it is it's got your morning mindset and it goes through questions. That to me, I love. All right.
I don't know if this is helpful. Okay.
Yes. So I like that a lot. It was a little bit time consuming in the morning to go through all those questions and answer all of them, like you were talking about, Ricardo. So that's something that I am not going to put on the one that I create for myself. There are a couple things on there that I think are important, like one thing that I can do for someone else or to make someone's day. And what that prompted me to start doing is to text someone, my kids, my parents, and just let them know I'm grateful for you. And it brightens someone's day and it makes you feel good. So those are the two that I like a lot. And I'm going to take pieces of each of those and implement those into my day.
I'm a fan of the high performance planner, but man, it's tedious, man.
It is tedious.
It's
it
tedious.
is very
It's
tedious. And yeah.
I love me some Brendan Bouchard. Great work, Brendan. If you're tuning in, great work. We love your work. We love your HPX coaching program and all that kind of good stuff. And the high performance planner is great, but man, woo, it's work.
Yeah.
See, I think it's interesting that so I am right in between both Michelle and Ricardo, but what I find interesting is that Ricardo, the meaning you placed on it is that you have to complete 100% of it every day. But at the same time, Michelle's placed it that she can leave half of it blank and she still completed that and feels good about it. So I think that's a good observation is what do you define as scheduling? But so I'm very, squirrel brain. I like shiny things and I get distracted easy. So I like to prime my day with I'd say the Brendan Burchard planner is about twice as much, but I love that they're not labeled at the top. They're not already have the year printed because it might be 3 months in between when I sit down and do another day like this. I like the Brendan Burchard because the high performance planner, because it primes your day and it primes your next day and your restful sleep going into ending that day, but it ends you on a proud note and make sure you look at a practical stance of your productivity for the day, not just, beating yourself up over the one thing you didn't do. So that's important to get quality sleep, to marinate for 8 hours on being proud of yourself, because then you're priming yourself for the next day. So it's all relative, but yeah, I'm right there with Ricardo. I can't, it is not an everyday thing. So my solution was in the Panda Planner, right? The Panda Planner is half as much effort, a lot of the same stuff. So I tried that for a while and, got about a week into that. And then we tried another one for a while that honestly, this has been like, here's an example. I bought just a random one and it's my to-do book or my to-done book because I'm big on words. So it's not my to-do book, it's my to-done because in my brain, the Jedi mind trick I'm doing is when I put it on here, it's real, it's done, so I only will jot down notes about things that are priorities to me in this magical junky book, but so I don't follow the date. This is more my daily activity. So when something comes in for work, there's a section I need to complete these things before the end of the day. Or when something, working on the apothecary. So as part of the program I'm doing with Ricardo right now, I have to spend a certain chunk of time each week on a hobby that makes me happy and hopefully money. But so it's reminding myself that spending time doing something that I enjoy, even though it's 30 minutes away from work or an hour away from work, if that recharges me, it needs to be a priority. But yeah, at the same time, I can go without any lines, anything. And I do that because it doesn't overwhelm me. But about once a month or once a week, I do pull out the activities to follow along or the assessments. Brendan Burchard also has a like a monthly assessment that you can check in with your life. The one Ricardo was holding up, that I keep on wanting to call it the silver fox. Anyway,
I'll talk
inside
about
joke.
that shortly. Finish up.
Yeah. So yeah, but I love it. So just like take what works and take the
What
rest
does it?
away, and then just keep adding things that you like, but like you don't have to stay committed to a planner for a year. There's nothing wrong with just switching around. So like morphing into
Can we agree that we're a fan of the planners that don't have the date and the year and the month tied
Yes.
into that? Can we
Yes.
agree to that?
Definitely.
Because back in the day, I remember the Stephen Covey planners and all these other planning systems, that the older ones, right? They're still around, but they come prepackaged with the dates pre-filled in and all that kind of stuff. And it was always just like, you flip through and then you do 1 day or 3 days or a week, and then you forget about it. Then you have to like flip through, and then it's like,
Then you waste pages.
You
Then
feel
you-
very boxed in and limited somehow,
really do.
like unconsciously.
So this is the Impact Theory Planner by Tom Bilyeu. I used this. My issue with this one was that it was 2 whole pages for 1 whole day. Like 2 whole pages of this big old thing for 1 whole day. So it was, today I'm grateful for my top 2 beliefs, important things for today, potential roadblocks, my strategy, notes, and reflection, and then a weekly review at the end. And that was just too much. But quality-wise, this is a very well-made journal. I like it. My latest endeavor, let's go look at the comments. My latest endeavor is the Clever Fox journal. And this is the weekly pro version. What do I like about this? This is why I bought this journal. First, 1 week on 1 page, guys. 1 week on 1 page. 1 week on 1 page. I could fill this out. I could actually do this. And then on the other page, it's the stuff for the whole week. Your to-do, personal to-do, work to-do, skills and habits, with this week's priorities. And this is the best part about this particular journal. Life balance to-do list. You guys remember the wheel of life. So here it's got every section in the wheel of life and ask you to do a to-do list for every section in the to-do and on the wheel of life. How great is that?
I love
like that.
I
I'm
like that.
excited about, and then this week's wins, lessons learned, and how I'll improve next week. And again, this is 2 pages for a whole week, guys. 2 pages for a whole week. Doable. And then you have a monthly review. Guess what? With the wheel of life again, where you are. So you do a wheel of life every single month for your monthly review. And then you talk about your biggest wins, your lessons learned, insights gained. But this is what I like about this one. I'm a big fan of the 1 week on 1 page.
And I couldn't function with that.
Yeah. See, I love that it has the wheel of life, because like the wheel of life, you can actually see it change often.
Yeah.
Like you can see your progress, but at the same time, you're not forgetting that, like, oh yeah, my partner needs to be loved too, even though I'm hustling, doing all this, like, yeah, should play with my kids.
And this is one of the best parts about this journal that I personally enjoy, is this whole book is 1 year's worth. 1 journal, $36. The weekly will last you a whole year. Now that's a bang for your buck, man. Obviously they have a daily version that lasts you 3 months, but to get a whole journal for 1 year for $36, not too shabby. And I've never seen a journal that to ask you, what do I want my life to be like 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, with all of the categories from the Wheel of Life. I've never seen that before. And then it asks you to go deeper for 1 year. And then it asks you to go deeper for the next 3 months. So every 3 months, you fill this thing out with like your top 3 goals and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Now that leads into a topic that I have to bring up if we're talking about schedule, and that's the 12-week year.
Mm-hmm.
So the book, the 12-week year, it's incredible. I have not successfully 100% implemented it. It's by Brian Moran. But it's really, really, really helpful if you struggle with time management. But like Ricardo was saying, one of the things that I love about it is that it kind of encompasses all the things we've talked about. So you visualize your life, what you want it to ultimately look like 10 years down the road, then you back it up 3 years, then you do a year, and then you break it up into 12 weeks. And then you can even back that up into this week. What do I need to do to accomplish this goal in 12 weeks? But I highly recommend that book. It's really, really good. One of the things that I love about it is there's 3 different blocks that you put into your schedule. And one is daily, and it's called a breakout block or a buffer block. And that's time that you set aside to check emails and respond, check text messages, return phone calls, things like that. And even administrative things if you're business, doing some of the administrative daily tasks. And that way you're not all over the place. You actually have a time designated to do that and you're very focused. So that's daily. And then weekly with the 12-week year, you do a breakout block, which is really hard for me to do. And that's that rest or fun or enjoyment. And so you actually schedule in during the work week, which is not what I initially did. I did it on the weekend, and that's defeats the purpose. But during the work week, you schedule in a 2 to 3 hour breakout block to do something fun, something you enjoy, or even take a nap or rest or go to the movie or work on a hobby or something like that. And then once a week, you also schedule in a 2 to 3 hour strategic block. And that's where you take a step back from the daily tasks of what you're trying to accomplish, and you actually take a broad look at it. And that's where the creativity starts to flow, and you start coming up with ways to be more efficient and ways to do things better. So you actually take a break from the daily tasks and really get strategic on, okay, what am I trying to accomplish? What am I trying to build here? And what things will help me get there? So I love the 12-week year. Highly recommend it.
It's a powerful book. I haven't looked at that in a while, but I think it's worth revisiting. And as far as journals go, I think one of the things is whatever you decide to go with, whatever you decide to use, whatever you decide to try, just try it and give it a chance. Now, I have to give honorable mention to my just regular old plain Jane journal here. This is just a journal from Barnes & Noble, very well made, leather cover, thick pages, and that's just my daily go-to. I don't want to say diary, but
you can say diary. We can redefine
but
diary.
it kind of is. You know what? It's a mannery.
There you go. There you go. I like that.
It's not a diary. It's a mannery. No, it's a journal.
It is.
It's a journal.
That is a true journal.
But this is my go-to. This is my daily grinder. I'll write in it every few days. Not every day. Sometimes I'll go every day. Sometimes I'll go every couple of days. But this one is the one that I need to be very cautious of making sure that I write legibly. And usually I'll just scribble because I would like Sebastian to read this when he gets older. And that's the purpose behind this one.
I love that. Yes.
I do too.
And he wouldn't be able to read my chicken scratch if I just write normally. So the fact that it's written for somebody else is kind of a big deal and keeps me on point. Let's go to the comments.
Get a nice pen. It sounds crazy. It does. It sounds crazy. Get a nice pen. Like spend some money, whatever kind of pen. Like I know, like just get a nice pen that when you write, you're like, oh, like yeah. Like good. It's just keep looking for a good pen, because when you have a pen paired with a journal, like that's such a powerful tool every day.
Speaking of pens, I've always wanted to buy a fountain pen, not a fountain pen, but the pen that you like dip in and then
like the old school kind.
Like the old pen. Like,
just get a feather. You just need a thing of ink and a feather. That's what they used to do.
But then I would have to get the hat. If I got a feather, I would have to get the hat. Like I can't
Yeah.
picture myself right. That's what I'm thinking right now. For those of you on the audio version, I'm actually sitting here contemplating and thinking what I would look like riding with a feather without a hat, and I can't do that. I would need the hat.
Gotta have that.
I need that. I would need that.
You'd
hat.
be very much like Don Julio, like character with it, like writing your prestigious letter. But hey,
Either
we'll
way,
work on getting you that.
whatever you guys decide to use, make sure it feels good. Whatever journal you use, don't feel guilty. No one's going to journal shame you, except for yourself. Because I feel bad.
One thing I'll throw in really quickly that's been helpful to me lately is the Notes app on your phone. So what I find is when I'm exercising or in the shower, usually sometimes in the shower, that's when my creative brain starts to work. So I'll have ideas or, oh, I should do this, or that's when thoughts come into my mind, and you don't have a pen and paper handy in those moments, but you typically have your phone. And so I created a note folder in the Notes app on my phone called Creative Thoughts. And anytime I might be out and about shopping for groceries or whatever, but it's pretty much your phone is always with you. And so that's a place you can go put those in, because so many times we have creative thoughts and then they pass and we forget about them. And so anytime I have that now, I go put it in my Creative Thoughts folder, and then I can review those and not forget things that popped up that my brain was like, hey, this is a good idea.
Michelle Martini.
Yes.
I'm going to have to ask this before the comments and instant messages, private messages start coming in. Do you shower with your phone?
I don't, but it's right there. Although they are waterproof these days. No, but it's right. It's on the bathroom counter. So if I get out of the shower, I can just go type in whatever thought came to me without, waiting an hour before I get back.
Fair enough.
Or I can write it down.
One thing that kind of sparked, Jerry Seinfeld said he would sleep with a notepad with a pen and paper, just a regular old notepad next to his nightstand, because some of the best jokes that he came up with came in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So he would always keep a notepad and pen handy in case he got inspired.
I will tell you.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Having Alexa handy, I do that, and that way I don't even have to open my eyes. I'm like, hey, Alexa, remind me to whatever when thoughts come to me and when I'm laying in bed.
So one reason that does happen, or one reason it's while you're sleeping, is because your body is physically doing something where your brain can drift off into the creative zone without, what am I trying to say? A lot of the time we have so much anxious thoughts and kind of busy thoughts in our head by day, or when we're doing stuff, that it blocks a lot of that creative energy. When your body is doing something, like you're saying, they're doing, take a shower or something where mentally you can kind of float, that's when the creative ideas come to mind. So something I do to help me kind of wipe the board clean, if you will, and of course, ho'oponopono, now that I say that, but is a brain dump in a spiral. So like I do have a very junky like spiral that it's one from the Dollar Tree that I stock up on. But before I go to bed, just as I'm decompressing at night now, it's kind of like I'll note what I would like to happen the next day. Maybe I might journal some Collego stuff, like visualizing if tomorrow went perfect before I go into it. But more than anything, it is where if I have a worrisome thought, write it down, get it out of my head. Because it's like a ping pong ball. Like I will sit there and try to go to sleep, and this ping pong ball is just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Or if I can get it on a piece of paper, that's going to be there when I wake up, so I can rest my brain. That's when I find out when I wake up, I do have creative ideas, creative things. So there's part of it is getting it out of your head. So yeah, maybe take out a piece of paper that you intend to be trash. And if you're having those crappy thoughts, write it down. It's just going in the trash anyway. It's going in the right place, right? So you can also utilize like a spiral just to brain dump, as beautiful as the term that is.
It allows your brain to go from that beta brain state to alpha, to where you're creative.
Y'all bring up a great point.
It's where the magic happens.
We're talking about all these great journals, the Panda Planner, Impact Theory, Clever Fox, Brendan, all these journals. Don't let that stop you from starting to journal or to write something down. Just go get you a 99-cent spiral notebook from Walmart and a big pen.
Yeah.
Don't let, I mean, if you're letting some of this other stuff, like you don't know what journal to choose, you don't know where to, you don't know, and you're letting that stall you from even starting to journal or even starting to plan, just go get a notebook, regular old notebook, and a big pen, or just use your calendar app on your phone. Don't get in your head about having to choose a journal.
And I'll take that a step further. Like, don't make it hard. Tell like you're just gonna write for 1 minute. So don't put pressure on yourself by having to plan your day. Don't put pressure on yourself for having to come up with some like really emotional breakthrough that you figure out while you're writing. No, stop. Just set a timer for 1 minute every day until you get in the habit of, you know, building that energy so it just flows out, or you will have an idea next time you're writing. So it's not immediate, but that's okay. Like, it's not meant to be. You're gonna have some big breakthroughs.
It takes time.
Yep.
It takes time. So don't feel bad. I used to feel bad because I would buy a journal, used it for a week, and then didn't use it no more. Then buy another one, then buy another one, then buy another one.
You got to try different things and you'll figure out what works for you. It will come eventually over time.
It has to come. It has to come. And you know what? You never know. I might actually get around to some of these unused journals and finish them once I get into the habit of using something that actually works, or I might not, or I might give it away. Someone will get a half-assed used journal one day. I don't know. We'll see.
I did hear a great tip. A YouTuber was talking about as your kids become of age, like as they're playing, they're out their schedule, but it involved like a chore stick game. I don't have young kids, so I didn't pay that much attention. But she was talking about giving her old planners to her kids to plan out their own chores. And she was like, this is really helpful. And I had like 10 of them. So anyway, just
I
if
like
you can
Courtney's like, I don't have kids, so I wasn't really paying that much attention, but I'm going to tell y'all about it anyways.
Yeah. Anything about utilizing old journals, I got them. But yeah,
this is good. This is good. So again, guys, the word of the week for this week is schedule, and we just took this opportunity to talk about journals. Honorable mention to the 12-week year by Brian Moran. Go check that out. That's one of Michelle Martini's go-to, and she's been implementing, and I've seen a lot of success in that through her. So go for it. And yeah. Oh, real quick, Michelle. Yes. 1 minute. We're already way over. But 1 minute, give us a quick 75 hard update.
Okay. So I did add that to my schedule, and that made a difference because I had to start over on day 13 because I forgot to take my pictures. But I'm on day 15. So I've surpassed the first round. Now I'm in the new round and I plan to finish it up. It's going great. I love it.
Good. You're feeling good. You're feeling energized.
I do. I'm not going to lie. There are moments where I do not want to do that second workout. But I don't overdo it. And it might just be a walk outside and listening to something healthy, feeding my brain. But yeah, I'm really loving it.
How's your strength progress going?
With that being one of your really goals? Well. I'm actually building some muscle and it's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. That's awesome.
Congratulations. We'll be asking you every couple of weeks for a 75 hard update.
I'm loving it. It's really fun, and it's more mental than physical. It's beneficial physically, but the mental game is where it's at.
It is. I totally agree.
Learning a lot about myself.
Great. I definitely, and we're supporters of that. I've seen the change. I think it's really good. It's really good, and you're keeping up with it, which is great. It's phenomenal. I've seen some people start it and not finish it and not pick it back up. So the fact that you picked it right back up after you missed, it's really good.
Thank you.
So that's really good. All right, guys. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel, the podcast version on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play Music. You can visit forceforgrowth.com for more information, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, and one more thing. I had a message about where is the intro music and outro music. I forgot my iPad today. So that's why we didn't have intro music or outro music, but we have a show checklist. I'll make sure to add that to the show checklist.
To the schedule to make sure I have everything ready so we can bring the intro music. Apparently people really liked that and thought it was so much fun. But
It is.
And here I was rolling my eyes at it. I
Here
love it.
It is.
Look.
So either way, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Wednesday. Visit forceforgrowth.com for the podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys.